Happy Friday, Foods 2. It's our last day of soft closure. We'll be back in class on Tuesday. We will be in the kitchen cooking, so I'm excited to see you guys again. Hurrah, this is finally over. All right, today we're going to talk about the food label and how you can use food labels to kind of make your diet a little bit healthier by reading the information that's on the back of it. So, as you look at the nutrition fact label, there are 4 important pieces of information to know. The first one is the number of servings. So it is going to tell you how many servings are in that package or the container. Then it's going to tell you your portion size or serving size. So you can see on this label there are 6 servings per container, and the serving size is 1 tablespoon. Right, then it's going to tell you the calories. Now the calories that are listed is for the portion size. So there are 60 calories per tablespoon. If you go and eat half of this package or container, you have to times that by 3. If you go and eat the whole package, then you have to times it by 6. Same thing with all of the nutrients. All right, they are just based on that 1 tablespoon. If you eat the whole package, you have to times it. All right, and it's the same on whether it's cereal, macaroni and cheese, a frozen dinner like frozen pizza or frozen chicken nuggets. It gives you what the portion size is, and it's just based on that. So if you eat more than that portion size, you have to times all of the nutrients by how many portions of it you ate. Now, it's going to list how many grams for the nutrients on the left, and then over on the right you're going to see the percent daily value. Now this is based on a 2,000 calorie diet, because that's what most adults are supposed to eat. Anywhere from 1,800 to 2,500 calories, and so they choose 2,000 as kind of the middle of the road, and it's what most people eat that are moderately active. So it's based on that, and it's just showing you how much of this serving is the recommended amount. So you can see that there's 12 grams of fat, and based on a 2,000 calorie diet, that's 18% of your daily value. For protein, 3 grams. Protein doesn't have a percent daily value because that is really based on gender. Males need more protein than females, and so they don't put that into a percent. But everything else will be a percent. You can see that it has 8% vitamin C. So this probably isn't a really nutrient-dense food because it's over 220 calories, and it doesn't really give you a lot of vitamins and minerals. It gives you a lot of fat, but that's not really a good thing. All right, your goal is to choose foods that when you add them all up together, you get close to 100% of each nutrient for the day. You don't want to necessarily go over that because that means you're eating too many calories, too many fat grams, possibly too much sodium, but try and get as close to 100% each day. Now, no more than 30% of your total calories should come from fat. So as you're looking at the food label, make sure you pay attention to that total fat, and it should not be more than 30%. Also look up here because it's going to have the calories, and then it has the calories that come from fat. So that should be under 30%. Now, companies can make nutrient claims on their packages, but they have to prove it through the FDA and the USDA before they can put it on there. So you can't just say, hey, I have this cookie and it's reduced fat. You have to prove in there that the ingredients are lower in fat, high in fiber, all those kinds of things. So we're going to talk about some of the terms that are allowed by law to use on different packages. So our first one is light, or sometimes you'll see it spelled L-I-T-E, and that means it has 1/3 fewer calories or 50% less fat than the regular product. So here you can see a Campbell's soup, and it says it's light, so it has to either have 1/3 less fewer calories than the regular soup or 50% less fat before they can put that on the label. If it's fat-free, like the Fudgsicles down at the bottom, a serving has to have less than 1/2 gram of fat. And if it says low or reduced fat, it has 3 grams or less fat than the regular product. So for example, they do have reduced fat Oreos. Don't try them, they don't taste good. But if you're worried about it and you want reduced fat Oreos, it has 3 grams fat or less fat than the regular Oreos. If it's claiming to be cholesterol free, then it has to have less than 2 milligrams of cholesterol and 2 grams or less of saturated fat. So this one, it has to prove that it doesn't have a lot of cholesterol and it's low in saturated fat. If it has the claim that it's high in fiber, it has to contain 5 grams or more. If it says good source of, so like good source of iron, good source of calcium, it has to provide at least 10% of that nutrient of iron or calcium. If it says high, rich in, or excellent source, then it has to contain at least 20% of that daily value. So you can see that this label, it says an excellent source of vitamin C. And when you come down here to vitamin C, it has 150%. Right now, but that's not going to hurt you because vitamin C is water soluble, so your body just gets rid of the extra that it's not using. But it's an excellent source of vitamin C because it has way more than that 20%. If it's labeled as organic, that means that there were no chemical fertilizers or chemical pesticides used while the ingredients were being grown. Or if you're eating like eggs or beef or chicken, they didn't use chemical fertilizers, pesticides, or hormones. And those are kind of big things right now, is to not eat as much fertilizer, pesticides, and hormones. So look for things that are organic. It does cost more, so it's kind of a toss-up. Do you want to pay more for it or just not worry about it? Now juice. Juice is the one that's probably the most confusing because a lot of times we choose juice because we think we're making a healthier choice than soda, but you have to make sure that it just says juice. So for example, if it says apple juice, then you know it's 100% apple juice. If it says apple juice drink, if they add drink on the end, it can have as little as 5%. So make sure you're looking at those ingredients. All right, if it says lemonade, lemonade doesn't have to have actual lemon in it. All right, so it just needs to say juice at the end, nothing after it, for it to be 100% fruit or vegetable juice. Now they can also make a health claim, and they can tie a nutrient with one of the health conditions that we talked about on Wednesday. All right, so for example, whenever you ask what does Honey Nut Cheerios do, everybody knows it helps lower cholesterol. All right, Cheerios has had a multi-million-dollar marketing campaign where that just becomes something that everybody knows. Honey Nut Cheerios lowers your cholesterol, and it's because of the fiber that is in Cheerios. So they have to prove that the ingredient is known to prevent that disease. Like you can't just make a food and put a label on it that says this will prevent cancer. There has to be a nutrient link to that prevention. So if it's high in calcium, they can put that it prevents osteoporosis. If it's low in fat, high in fiber, they can say it reduces cancer. If it's low in saturated fat and high in fiber, they can say it reduces your risk of heart disease, like this label right here says that it reduces heart disease. If it's low in sodium, they can put that it reduces high blood pressure. Now, ingredients. So you have your nutrition facts, and then you also have the ingredients, what's actually in the product. Now, they're listed from most to least. So the most ingredient by weight is going to be whole grain oats. The least ingredient is going to be tocopherol, which is to preserve freshness. So as they're making Cheerios, you know that this is the ingredient that weighs the most in the recipe. The tocopherol is the one that weighs the least. Also, the company has to tell you actually what is in the product. All right, so it has to tell you that it's whole grain oats, and it also has to tell you any allergy information. So this one contains almonds, so you know if they are allergic to almonds or tree nuts, you probably can't eat Honey Nut Cheerios. So those are the things that have to be included on the label. Now, there are also dates stamped on our labels, and we as Americans throw away so much food because we don't understand what those dates mean. All right, they actually don't automatically mean an expiration date. So most of the fresh foods that we buy is a pull or sell by date. and this is the last day it should stay on the store shelves. So these are things like milk, yogurt, sour cream, and eggs. All right, that is not an expiration date, and everybody, I mean, even myself included, when you see that gallon of milk and it's reached that date, we just automatically think that it's expired. It hasn't. They kind of assume that milk will last in your fridge 3 to 5 days past that date. I would give it a smell, like if it's past that date. All right, but if your fridge is cold enough, it should last 3 to 5 days. Yogurt, sour cream last 10 days past the date. All right, things like eggs last 6 weeks past the date. Same thing with cheese. All right, so it's not an expiration date. Like, I mean, obviously, if it's starting to, like, your milk's turning chunky, your yogurt's gone green, throw that away. But it doesn't necessarily need to be thrown out. So smell it, look at it. It should still last a couple of days, sometimes even weeks, depending on the food past that day. All right, there's a pack date. This is the date the food was packaged. There's a freshness or a best by. So you see best by on a lot of like cereal boxes. Canned foods have a best by date stamped on the bottom sometimes. All right, and this is the last day that the food will remain at peak quality. Is it still safe to eat past that day? Absolutely. All right, but if it's cereal and you've opened it and so air's gotten in contact with it, it might be a little stale. Is it going to hurt you? No, it won't. It just will be stale. All right, canned foods last for years past that date. You just kind of are sacrificing quality. All right, you're not sacrificing really nutrition, and it's not going to make you sick. It just might start to deteriorate a little bit in the can. So those are best by dates. You can still eat them. And then our last one is an honest to goodness expiration date. It's the last day the product should be eaten. This is the date that I would like pay attention to with like lunch meat or hot dogs, things like that. All right, as long as you're keeping foods cold, they're going to last past those days, because most of the food we buy is a pull or sell by date. It's strictly for the grocery store. It's not for consumers. The milk does not know that it's October 21st. So it's not going to automatically expire. It should last 3 to 5 days past that. So we need to stop wasting food. So today what I want you to do is I want you to answer the questions on the graphic organizer that's linked to this video on Canvas. And then I want you to go and find 3 nutrition labels somewhere in your house. I don't care what food it's for. Just find 3 labels. And I want you to just fill in the nutrition labels on your paper. And just start here. Tell me how much what the serving size is, how many servings are per container. Do the calories. Write down the nutrients that we should be limiting. The fat, the cholesterol, the sodium. All right, make sure, list the nutrients we need more of, the vitamins and minerals. All right, that's what you're going to do. And then answer the couple of questions like, is it nutrient dense? That means, is it healthy? Is it providing 10% or more of a vitamin? And is it under 200 calories? All right, have a great weekend. I will see you all next week. Bye.